Okay, we are live now.
Sure. Yeah.
So, very good evening in India. This is Sunday evening, 8 p.m. in India. And a very good morning, good afternoon to everyone, those who are watching us on live YouTube channel ICSI India in different parts, different time zones in the world, across the globe. And this is our webinar, Canada Calling, in which we give you valuable inputs, valuable information from our expert, how to dream to come to Canada, what are the career opportunities which are calling you to Canada, and how to prepare for that. And to speak on to it, to discuss all these things, we have our experts, CPA Surya Vijay Shastri Kotamati sir, and Shri Vijay Vikas, I'm so sorry, Mr. Vikas Malhotra. Both are from Canada and they are with us to discuss in detail these things. So let's just begin our webinar for today. And I am welcoming both of them. Good morning, namaste, Shri Vijay Shastri Kotamati sir and Shri Vikas Malhotra sir. We welcome you.
Namaskar.
Ji. And sir, to begin with, like I'm saying that Canada calling. So Canada is calling youth, Canada is calling the people, those who are skilled, and Canada is calling the people who have dreams to pursue something big in their career, in their life abroad, and to spread their wings all across the globe. So, sir, your initial remarks to begin with Sri Vijay Shastri Kotamati sir, and then with Sri Vikas Malhotra sir, your remarks. And as we have taken this particular topic last week also, so where we have ended that time, we'll begin from there. So over to you, Sri Vijay Shastri Kotamati sir. Sir, you are on mute. If you can just unmute your mic.
Namaskar, Chitraji. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, and everything good to everyone across the globe. Today is Sunday here, and we are in Canada, so our time is about 10:30 a.m. So it's a bright, sunny morning here. We are now going to experience wonderful weather for the next couple of months, starting now until at least mid-October. So that's the time we really enjoy our time. And this is the right time for us to discuss about how do you all also come over to Canada, whoever is thinking of coming over to Canada. So we'll start with last week we spoke about electricians, and I was mentioning that many semi-skilled workers can or vocational workers, that's how I would define them, can come over to Canada. And Dr. Sharmaji was asking me that there are many countries in the world which are allowing local trained and certified electricians and other skilled people to come over to their country. And is Canada doing that or not? And I thought today I should discuss about that and mention to everyone that Canada, like all the other countries in the world, like Australia, New Zealand, UK, and every other country in the world, they have a program wherein they allow these. They're called the skilled workers, and there is a program in Canada also called the Federal Skilled Trade Workers Program, and every province has their own skilled traders workers program under which they do encourage the people who have the skills and the required experience to come over. But the process is different. It's not for those who want to come to Canada, the student route, where many of them, and it is a preferred route if you ask me, because if you can afford and if you have the time, certainly that is a better and the best way to approach, because you train yourself locally here in Canada with organizations showing you, the colleges showing you how to acquire the required skills technically as well as theoretically, and then join the work stream. And the immigration process also allows you to stay in the country after you finish your students program for the number of years that you have done your certified diploma course, plus one extra year, so that you can have sufficient time to apply as a permanent resident worker. But that route, of course, is for those who would like to come, who already are having their experience in India, but they don't mind spending the money and the time, because time is money. And many people may think, let me do what I'm doing here in India or wherever in the world, and let me go through the other route, which is called the Federal Skilled Trade Workers Program, or the Provincial Skilled Trade Workers Program, under which it's not just electricians. I was mentioning electrician, and that I did mention that day also, because I bought Tesla and I was looking for an electrician, and it struck to my mind, and I mentioned electricians. But it most of the trades yeah, are there. And just to highlight some of them, I can just read out of the codes that they have. The Federal Skilled Worker Program actually has a number of programs that fall under it, and I can read there, like contractors and supervisors in machining, metal forming, shaping and erecting traders, electrical trades and telecommunication occupations, pipe fitting traders, carpentry trades, other construction trades, installers, repairers and survivors, machinists and machining and tooling inspectors. There's a whole bunch, you know. So there is not just the electrician. People should not get wrong when we say these things on our program. What we are trying to say is that there is a skilled trade workers program, under which each one of you can go, and if you need, ICSI is always there to assist you, depending on which skill you are. You can always contact our office and they'll be able to assist you. So under the Federal Skilled Trade Workers Program, the requirement is that you should at least have 5 years experience, 2 years out of which should be the one in the area that you are looking for. And there, in addition to that, this application can be submitted by you online. And there is called an express entry program for skilled workers, which you can log into the Canadian immigration website, and you can look for it, and you can, depending on the code, for all these type of assistance, ICSI is there. We all are here in Canada. Myself and Vikasji are there. In India, we have ICSI. We all are here to assist you, to see how best you can do for getting into these programs. So under these programs, in addition to having the experience, you also will have to have a qualification for, you have to have sufficient amount of grades in a test which is called IELTS, which is famous in India. You know, people know it's called, they call it IELTS, and the score that is required for this type of categories is between 5 to 6. So you can appear for those exams if you are already skilled worker having more than 2 years of experience in India. And if you these and as far as I know, the exam that you pass for the IELTS is valid for 2 years after you pass. So immediately you pass that, and once you have that, while you are continuing your job in India or your trade in India, whatever you're doing, you can still pursue this and make an application, and we help you in that process. So I, at this point, I will stop and allow Vikasji to speak about the travel industry, and we'll come back to you in the next round. So
Yeah.
Vikasji, if you could please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And very, very informative information you have given us, valuable. And we'll take few questions later on as you tell second part. And we
Sure.
straight away goes to Shri Vikas Malhotra ji. Vikas, sir, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me once again. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, or good night, which is going to come to everybody. Thank you so much. Actually, on this very platform, I myself learn a lot of things. It's not my expertise to know about the skilled jobs and how much IELTS bands you need and all that kind of stuff. So I love it. I would definitely come back to the topic that we started last week, and that was about aviation. I wish I mean, not that I wish, I just think that my blood is not blood made of molecules and cells or whatever. It has got everything to do with airline and travel industry.
Wow.
And as I'm speaking, most of you would be smiling because that's what it does. This industry brings a smile to everybody. So let's just focus on something which we left off on that pedestal of the aviation industry. I give our dear audiences a little bit of groundwork to do. We talked about, if you can look into YouTube, what is Qatar Airways doing in business class called as Q Suite. If you have, I'm pretty sure, and I can endorse it, that it would be like an eye opener to you. A small little country in the Middle East, absolutely expanding, is coming out with something which is world class. Now they are going to follow the other airlines that who's doing. They want to have an edge over the other ones. So why do they do all that? Of course, money making, profit is one of the main things. But please keep in mind, it is still a transportation medium from point A to point B. It is still going to make you reach, whether it is Qatar Airways, Emirates, or Air India, or PIA, or any airline in the world. The purpose is still going to remain the same. Now, whenever we talk about the aviation industry, I want to take you all behind the scenes. I want to talk about two words which are very commonly used. And as we said, we will start going in depth over there. So those two words is interline agreement. It's one term. And second word is code share. I want to explain to you what is the difference between the two. So interline agreement is when you actually join hands and share a particular itineraries sector. That means, let's say as an example, if somebody wants to go from Delhi to London Heathrow and London Heathrow to New York, just giving you an example. Now, the sector of Delhi to London is operated by Air India, but then the London to New York sector is operated by British Airways, just again as an example. A customer will see one particular ticket, and he or she will see AI111, let's say that the flight info, and that is for your Delhi to London. And on the same ticket, the second leg will be showing BA111 or 121, and then that is the sector between the London to New York. Now, what happens behind the scenes is that Air India and BA, British Airways, BA has actually agreed that we are going to give a common rated fare. We are going to give a price to a client that you have to, let's say, 1 lakh rupees. I'm going to talk in INR because most of our audience is from India. It'll be easier to understand. So what they will do, and they will count the mileage. How much miles is it going from Delhi to New York as a bird flies? So they will see that trajectory is divided into two components. One is from Delhi to London, another is London to New York. Now, when they do that, they take out what is the ratio of Air India's flight and what is the ratio of British Airways flight. According to that, they both divide the share. And that is called as interline agreement. Now, let's go to part B, which is called code share. Let's take the same example. If you've seen sometimes, let's take the same routing, same itinerary, that Air India 111 is from Delhi to London. My apologies. And then London to New York sector, sometimes you would have seen, is not BA111. It'll be AI7111 or AI8111. The flight number remains the same, and that is called as a code share agreement between Air India and British Airways. The flight is still operated by BA on the London-New York sector. But what is this AI7111 or 8111? That flight number depicts or reflects is a code share agreement. What is the benefit what is the difference in the two? The difference is purely profit sharing on the basis of marketing. Let me explain you one thing. We all know till now, Delhi to London is Air India. Now, we also know that the London to New York sector is a British Airways flight. But why does it have an Air India flight number? Because Air India is known for that sector is the marketing airline. What is Air India doing? Air India is making efforts to sell their allotment on the British Airways aircraft. Maybe they have 40 seats or 45 seats or 100 seats, which is sold by Air India. Obviously, when you work a little more, you are paid more. So that ratio, which I was talking about on the interline agreement, will increase for Air India. Air India will say, we are doing all the work. We are bringing our clients to your flight. We are putting our marketing efforts. We are selling. That is called as the code share agreement. So this is the main thing. This is the very basic thing in the aviation industry. Next time you ever travel by air, please have a look. What flight are you on? You will say, oh, I'm on Emirates flight. Please have a look at the flight number. Normally, you will see if it is not operated by the airline ticket that you're holding, it is operated by somebody else. It will say operated by so-and-so. So that was one thing I wanted to explain to all of us as well. Another thing I talked about last week is all the airports. I'm not going to talk about 3 specific airports in the Canadian side because those are the military based. So I'm going to say all the commercial airports in Canada starts with the letter Y. There is something called as an IATA code. Actually, my apologies, I should have explained you. So firstly, there is a council which is called as IATA, which is called International Air Transport Authority. Excuse me for my throat. My throat is not up to much. IATA is the basic platform on which all the airlines reside. You can take like IATA is like this platform, and all the airline administration lies on these pockets over there. So what does IATA do? IATA is your motherboard. IATA says, how are we going to identify one airport over another? There could be two. There are actually 2 different airports. Well, there are 3 in London. How do we know which airport the flight is going to go to? So they had to differentiate with codes. So Canada has airports always starts with the letter Y because IATA was born in Montreal. Canada is the one who gave birth to IATA to the whole world. I said, guys, we got to make this easy. We got to make a customer should understand what are we doing. They don't want to make everything very, technical or difficult to understand. So in order for them to do, they had said any airport which is registered on the commercial grounds has to be followed with a code. And that code is normally a 3-alphabet code. Normally, Delhi code is DEL, Mumbai code is BOM, taken from the previous name as Bombay, and so. So when you will go, you can actually find out a whole list of all of those codes. So this is basically that code. Now, because Canada gave the birth to IATA, initially they said, we are going to be exclusive than the rest of the world. Obviously, when you are the parent, you want to keep a little hand above the rest. So they said, every airport over here is going to start with the letter Y. And because it is told, I don't know how true is that Y is the easiest letter to write after I, but I can be confusing with the number 1. So that's why they chose Y. But I don't know this theory is right or wrong, but the whole idea is that the letter Y is all the airports is starting with Y in the Canadian geographical area. Back to Chitra ma'am, back to Vijayji. This is a little bit of technical stuff that I got you all, but I would invite any kind of questions, and we are both here
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. And it is really, really, though it is technical, but it is really interesting to listen to. So thank you so much. So now I'm coming to the questions that has been asked. Few questions for Vikas, sir, and lot many questions for Vijay Shastri Kotamarti, sir. So I'll start with you, Vijay, sir.
Hmm.
Um, students, maybe the listeners are the students also. The one question that has come is, what about the students, those who have done ITIs or maybe IT in, like you are saying, about technical, like electrical jobs and other things, diploma holders, whether they are also eligible for this federal program or only the experienced one?
Okay. Let me answer this question, and then you can ask me the next one. But before I proceed, I would just like to say the same thing that Vikas ji said, that he's learning a lot about other things when on this program, and similarly, so do I. I fly a lot, and I've always come across many airlines where they either have the interlines sharing or the code sharing, and it is very interesting to know about it more in detail. And actually, I just want to add humor to that I and Y that you said, Vikas ji. I is always I. That's why it always
Yeah.
comes the easiest. And then Y is you, which is Y.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that Y in you comes as Y. So I and Y are
Absolutely.
the easiest things, and
That's
probably
great. Yeah.
and and that could be the reason that we as Canadians must have said we are the founders of IATA, and so give us that, at least that opportunity. And you are absolutely right. YYZ is Toronto, YWG is Winnipeg, YVR is Vancouver. Everything starts with Y. But all others, unlike India, where Mumbai is BOM and Hyderabad is HYD, and each city has its own specific, not starting with the letter. Just wanted to add some humor into what you said, but certainly I'm learning a lot from you, and of course this program. So coming back to the question that was that if we are students, can we apply under the federal skilled trade workers program or the provincial skilled trade workers program? As I mentioned, you have to have experience. So if you have at least 2 years of experience in the diploma or whatever you have done in India, and if you think that that those 2 years can be called experience and can be backed up, then you can certainly apply under the federal skilled trade workers program. But you have to understand that under the federal skilled trade workers program, even when you apply, there still has to be a job offer from some employer here in Canada, and there are many, because for these type of thing, we ourselves here at ICSI can help you with a number of various type of categories that people do ask us for. So all that you need is you will need a job offer, but then it all depends on how skilled you are, and whether the employer whom we know is trying to look for, does it fit exactly into what they do. But for sure, if you are just a fresh, you have just completed your diploma and you want to come under the skilled workers program, I'm sorry to say, but no, it will not allow you to come under that program.
Okay.
You'll have
So,
to go through, sorry, just they'll
yeah.
have to go through the students queue, where they have to apply to Canada. And as I mentioned initially, the going through the student route is always better, because you come here, you learn more in what you already have learned, and you learn what is required for here, and you can easily be absorbed.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. I hope the question has been answered. So the next question is, the list that you have told us, is that list also contains the healthcare workers? They are also the part of federal program.
Uh, well, they are skilled workers program. So there is a whole bunch of people who are there. Skilled may cover that. I'm not sure whether it covers the healthcare or not, but certainly in the next program, I'll be able to tell you whether
Mm.
healthcare programs they are also skilled workers. It's not
Ji.
that they
Yes.
are not skilled, but
Right.
in fact, most of the categories, they, as long as they have the required experience, they have the English, the language requirement that they fulfill, then they should be able to apply. And there is a whole bunch, and healthcare must be there, because I am also in touch with one of my friends in Ireland, and they we do a lot for Ireland also, and they look for health workers, and similar type of requirements are there also, that they need the experience, they need the requirement for the English. The same requirement that we have here in Canada is also there in Ireland.
Right. And another question is, is there any program, skill program for Canada where IELTS is not required or IELTS is required for every program?
IELTS is required for every program, except that the level of IELTS gets
Okay.
reduced or increased depending on the type of skill that you're applying for. So,
Acha.
if you are like a carpenter or something like that, depending on the requirement that they have, it'll if you give me a minute, I can also tell you the IELTS requirement that is there, how it at
The
least
minimum and
an
maximum.
overview of the IELTS. I can certainly tell you
Sure, sir.
that there is a requirement for, means there are various types of English programs that you can, in India, IELTS is the most famous one, but there are, to come to Canada, there are other things like TEF Canada, TCF Canada, which those two are for French. And for English, there is CELPIP, which is also another program which you can. And within these programs, there are the skill levels vary for speaking, listening, reading, and writing. For instance, IELTS, if you are passing that exam, the speaking skill should be 5, the listening skill should be 5, the reading skill should be 3.5 only, and writing skill can be 4. So you don't have to have 5 all through. So
Okay.
if you are good at speaking, at least with a 5, and the on a, I think all these rates are based on a scale of 10. So
Okay.
if you have 50%, just my interpretation, please don't quote me, but 6 is 60, that's how I understand. So
Okay.
5, for speaking and listening it is 5, for reading it is only 3.5, and for
Okay.
writing it is only 4. So you
Okay.
can see that you don't have to have a very good reading skill or a writing skill, but definitely you should have the speaking skills and listening skills at least of 5, because you see, until and unless you can speak and communicate that to the other person, and until and unless you listen and understand what the other person is saying, it'll be slightly difficult. That's why they are having that. So these are the things. So either you can go through the CELPIP exam, which should be available in India. For Canada, you can have the CELPIP or IELTS. IELTS is more famous in India. So,
Okay.
but there are institutions that must be offering CELPIP also.
Right, sir. Another question is that is there any age limit also, upper age limit to come to Canada for work purpose?
Generally there is no such limit, but then as you come, as you grow older, naturally your physical ability to withstand things, and your even your mental stability, because you will say after a certain age, is this really required for me? So I would
Okay.
say, take as 50 or 55, but don't and I'm sure the people who are asking these questions must be in the range of 25 to 40, so you don't have to think. I can tell you one thing, that I am a chartered accountant. I have my FCA from India and FCPA from Kenya when I came to Canada, and that was at the age of 30, 37, 38, but I still did my US CPA and the Canadian CPA in order to make sure that I qualified and I got myself up to speed with these people. So, for education, there is no age limit. But then, you consider yourself, if you are in that category, you still can apply. And first thing I would say is you apply. Then bother about all these small things about age and other things. But age is a factor for your own self more than for the immigration purpose.
Ji. And a last question for you, Vijay sir. So before when we apply for Canadian visa, do we have the offer letter, or we can search it after coming there also, like the job?
No, see, as I mentioned to you,
Mm-hmm.
the express entry allows you to apply based on your qualification and your experience. If you have more than 2 years of experience and you have the required certification in India,
Mm-hmm.
then that allows you to apply.
Okay.
But in order for you to get into that program, there has to be an offer coming from this side. So in addition to your applying, you should make efforts to find out. There are many and people like us, the ICSI, and we all are here to see if there is anybody who is interested. So the whole purpose of the people who are attending this webinar, and they are not only learning, but they can utilize the resources of ICSI and see how they can be of help to you. So job offer is not always there. You have to, it depends on each and every person who's requesting for it and whether they have. But the first criteria is for you to apply online through the express entry under the Federal Skilled Trade Workers Program. And then because you qualify, then you can always look for a job offer, and then you can see how we can help you in that.
Right, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. My question now to Mr. Vikas Malhotra, sir. Sir, somebody has, because you have mentioned about co-chair and other things, so somebody has asked for, if you can just tell us what is the base behind establishing that TC areas. They have written the TC areas, but if you can just elaborate it and what is the reason behind setting that. So
Sure. Thank you so much. That's a great question. So TC is basically, there are three in the world, 1, 2, and 3. How, when all of the aviation industry, actually the commercial aviation started, so there were 3 different zones, you can say, that they had to divide the world into: TC1, TC2, and TC3. The TC1 is basically North and South America. TC2 is the Africa and Europeans. And I'm just generalizing the whole thing. There are certain places in the world which overlaps as well. And then the TC3 was the Asian side, which is the Far East, India, Sri Lanka, all of those things. Sorry about that. And then, so that's how the world was divided into. And it was basically it started with something called for fare construction. You construct a fare from point A to B, and you actually, and it was very, very resourceful initially. So let me explain you one thing. When we talk about the TC, in previous times, there were books called OAG. There were actually a construction fare called OAG, and there were certain rules behind it. If you're going from TC1 to TC3, all the airlines have to give you 2 pieces of baggage. Now, we all as a layman might think baggage is very simple. Put 1 bag, put 2 bags. No, it doesn't work like that. The airline has to do something called as balances and weights. The more, think about, there is a car which is having 5 seats in it. On those 5 seats, you are driving with 2 passengers. Now think of another car, same 5 seats, but instead of 2, you are 10. One sitting over another, over another, over another. What's happening? The weight of the car is actually going to go higher. Now what happens? The gas consumption, petrol as we call us, that is more in the one which is on a heavier. So airline industry works on the similar pattern. The weights has to be a level, and for that because it's a long haul from TC1 to TC3. This is just as one of the examples, because
Ji.
it's a long flight. So obviously the consumption of the gas has to be more. I mean, like we say it as white gas.
Mhm.
So that is how the TCs were divided into, because it was helping into the construction of the fairs and to understand the geography of the world. Now, I'll quickly take 30 seconds more. TC 1, 2, and 3 were also there, which was very helpful to define trans-Pacific routes and transatlantic routes. So the two big oceans, when they were going from TC1 to TC2, those were actually called transatlantic flights. When they were going from TC3 to 1, how are you going to go? You have to go through there are two ways. You have to go either through the Atlantic Ocean or you have to go through the Pacific Ocean. So TC1, 2, and 3 were introduced to assist in the construction of the fairs long ago.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, and a wonderful explanation for that. Now,
You're
a very good question has come that I can judge, sir, that is a good question. The question is about airlines itself, and they are saying that you have told us about the code sharing agreement and interline agreement. So suppose we are going from Delhi to London and then to New York, Delhi to London by Air India and then Emirates or maybe US Airlines, any of the thing. So we will have the major airline, the principal airline code. It is reflecting there. But now if the case is like it is a round trip and the ticket is of round trip, and there can be third airline also there. So so for the first question is there the code sharing agreement between three airlines also? And if it is so, so when they're coming back, maybe some other airline is passing by. So what kind of then the code will be given on the ticket?
Whoever has asked this, my salute to him or her. Excellent question. I used to take some lectures in the over there in US, and this kind of a thing has been asked by me by only one other student when I was taking a course over there, when I used to teach. So let me explain you. A code share agreement is majorly between airline 1 and 2. It doesn't let others interfere between the two. Think about it, that I am buying a real estate from somebody else, and now I would not like somebody else to interfere between our deal. Think on those lines, or buy anything, right? I'm doing an agreement. Interline agreement can be as many as you want. Now, I'm speaking only on one particular ticket. Let's come to the round trip thing, which was asked. So let's say that there is a ticket which is from Delhi to London on Air India, London to New York on BA, but on the return, the New York to London, I'm just taking the same itinerary, that can be any other airline. It could be any other airline which is actually flying. I'm going to give you American Airlines answer in this, because there is a route of the American Airlines. So New York to London is going to be on American Airlines, and then the London to Delhi back is on Air India. Now, one thing we need to understand, who is the ticketing airline? Who has issued the ticket? Whose document are you holding? So in this specific case, it's going to be a document of Air India. Now, in the airline language, we don't say document by Air India or by BA. We always say document is 098, which is the code for Air India. I'm not going to go into all of that depth, but just for you to understand, if 3 airlines are involved or 4 airlines are being involved, the document issuing airline has to have an interline agreement with all the airlines on that itinerary, whether it's 3 or 4 or 2. Code share, you will find only 2, but interline agreement can go as many as you want. One thing very careful to understand over here is interline agreement is not the baggage agreement. When we give our bags in Delhi, the 2 airlines have to have an agreement for the baggage to be transferred by that airline to the second airline. On the return, I know that American Airlines and Air India have an interline ticketing agreement, but they do not have a baggage agreement, which means passengers who will come from on the American Airlines flight from New York to London will have to claim the bags and have to check in again. And how are they going to claim the bags? The immigration has to be crossed. You have to have a visa for UK.
Okay.
You cannot otherwise go out. So these are very carefully designed things over there. But to answer back, yes, interline agreement can be as many airlines, but the document issuing airline has to have an agreement with all the other airlines on that particular ticket.
Okay. So likewise, for my clarification, interline agreement can be as many, and code sharing agreement is between only 2 airlines, right, sir?
On one specific itinerary.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. So code sharing agreement cannot be with multiple airlines.
There is an exception to that rule. It can be as far as there is something called as to procure. There is let's not go into that depth. There are certain exceptions to all of that. Like it'll take me like 2 hours to explain the whole thing, how to procure. But for now, most of the times it is between 2 airlines code share agreement. Yeah.
We'll definitely keep a separate session for that.
Yeah.
Okay. So another question is, sir, okay, this is on the lighter note, but I'll definitely ask. Somebody's asking, if you can please tell what is the economical route to go to Canada, where economical yet less time consuming. So is there any direct flight, or maybe the sharing route can be, if you can suggest? So maybe somebody has asked, but if you can just answer that.
I just completed 32 years in this industry 3 days ago. I still don't know this answer.
And let me also say that, because you are combining two things. You are saying the most economical and the most less time consuming. If it is less time consuming, it will be more expensive. So it can't be both, It's like asking me give you the best pleasure, but don't give me, at a less cost.
I saw a show last night on Prime, on the Amazon Prime, and it's called Air, AIR. Please watch it. It's about the shoes, Nike shoes. So Nike shoes are more expensive than the other local shoes. Maybe the local shoes are very good. The local shoes may cost less, but the quality may also be less. You can't get best of the both worlds. But Nike shoes also have something called as Jordan Air. Those are more expensive in the tier levels of those shoes as well. So you can't get both. I still don't know the answer. And the reason for that, I don't know the answer, is because think about it. There is never a fixed price in an airline industry. The prices are always subject to change. How they change is because it's a live booking engine all over the world. One flight can be booked by thousands of users all over the world, and they are always eyeing upon. It's a market demand and supply. The more demand is there, the higher the price is. The less demand is there, airline needs to get rid of the seats. They need to sell them. How are they going to sell them? They will drop the fare. So it's very, I'm sorry, I cannot answer that because the truth is I don't know.
But you have explained us. So thank you so much for that. And with this, we are at the end of this particular webinar, and I wish to thank both the guests, Shri Vijay Shastri Kotamarti sir and Shri Vikas Malhotra sir. Thank you for being there. Thank you for answering our question and telling us such valuable information in detail. And we'll take it next week also. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for all your audiences, our audiences for asking questions. The more
thank you, both of you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Kotamarti ji. Thank you. Thank you, Vikas Malhotra ji. And very special thanks to Chitra Kapoor. She's always my savior.
Yeah. Thanks to her.
Because it's such a wonderful. I could hear everything while walking on the road. Thank you.